close your eyes for just a moment. Take a deep breath. Now, what if I told you that the very act you just performed, breathing in and out, connects you to every living thing that has ever existed on this planet over the past 3.7 billion years? That the oxygen molecules entering your lungs right now might have been breathed by dinosaurs, by Cleopatra, by your great-great-grandmother. That you're not just living on Earth, but you are Earth, rearranged into a temporary pattern of consciousness? Here's what will blow your mind tonight. Scientists have calculated that in every breath you take, you inhale approximately 25 sextillion molecules of oxygen. That's 25 followed by 21 zeros. And because Earth's atmosphere has been mixing and recycling for billions of years, mathematical probability tells us that at least one molecule in every single breath you take was once processed by nearly every other breathing organism in history. You are literally sharing the same air with all of time. But before we dive deeper into this cosmic lullaby, I need you to do something for me. If this idea just gave you a little shiver of wonder, hit that like button. And subscribe, because over the next 3.5 hours, I'm going to share with you the most peaceful, mind-expanding facts about our home planet, facts so soothing and profound that they'll either help you drift into the deepest sleep of your life or keep you awake in the best possible way, marveling at the miracle of existence. And I'm curious, tell me in the comments right now, what country are you listening from? And what time is it where you are? Are you watching this at 3 in the morning, unable to sleep, during your lunch break? As the sun sets outside your window, there's something beautiful about the fact that people all over this spinning planet are about to share this moment together, united by curiosity and wonder. Now, let me introduce you to Dr. Mei-Wan Ho, a geneticist and biophysicist who spent her career studying what she called the rainbow and the worm, the quantum coherence of living organisms. Before her death in 2016, Dr. Ho discovered something remarkable. She found that living organisms, including you, aren't just bags of random chemical reactions. Instead, we're highly ordered, coherent quantum systems where every part communicates instantaneously with every other part through what she called quantum jazz. Think of it like this. Imagine your body as an orchestra with trillions of musicians, your cells. Now, in a normal orchestra, the conductor keeps everyone in time. But your body doesn't have a single conductor. Instead, every musician is somehow perfectly synchronized with every other musician, playing in harmony without anyone leading. They're all connected through vibrations, through electromagnetic fields, through quantum entanglement that we're only beginning to understand. What this means is beautifully simple and deeply relaxing. Your body knows what it's doing. Every cell in your body has been perfected through billions of years of evolution. While your conscious mind worries and plans and stresses, your body is performing approximately 37 trillion cellular operations every single second, all perfectly coordinated, all working in harmony to keep you alive and well. You don't have to think about healing a cut, or digesting food, or maintaining your heartbeat. Your body, this quantum jazz ensemble, handles it all. And here's the part that might change how you sleep tonight. When you let go and drift into sleep, you're not losing control. You're actually trusting the most sophisticated biological system in the known universe to do what it's been doing successfully for your entire life: maintain you, repair you, and prepare you for tomorrow. Dr. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist and sleep researcher at UC Berkeley, has spent decades studying what happens when we sleep. His research, published extensively between 2007 and 2023, has revealed something that our ancestors knew instinctively, but we forgot in our modern anxiety. Sleep isn't a pause in living. It's when your body does its most important work. During deep sleep, your brain literally washes itself. There's a system called the glymphatic system, discovered by Dr. Maiken Nedergaard at the University of Rochester in 2012, that opens up during sleep. Think of it like this all day long. As you think and work and worry, your brain cells produce waste products, kind of like how a car engine produces exhaust. But unlike other organs, your brain doesn't have a traditional lymphatic system to clear this waste while you're awake, because there's no room. Your neurons are packed too tightly together. So here's nature's elegant solution. When you sleep, your brain cells actually shrink by about 60%, creating space between them. And cerebrospinal fluid rushes through these spaces like a tide coming in, washing away all the metabolic debris, all the proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease, all the cellular garbage from the day's mental work. Your brain quite literally takes out the trash while you sleep. This is why you wake up with solutions to problems that seemed impossible the night before. This is why sleeping on it isn't just an old saying, but a scientifically validated strategy for decision-making. Your brain, washed clean and refreshed, makes connections it couldn't make when it was cluttered with the residue of consciousness. But it gets even more peaceful than this. In 1999, a team of researchers led by Robert Stick Gold at Harvard Medical School discovered that during sleep, your brain doesn't just rest, it actively reorganizes your memories, deciding what to keep and what to discard, strengthening important neural pathways and pruning unnecessary ones. It's like having a wise librarian who, while you rest, carefully files away the day's experiences in exactly the right places, so you can find them when you need them. Your dreams aren't random. They're your brain's way of processing emotions, integrating new information with old knowledge, and preparing you for future challenges. When you dream about falling or flying, or finding yourself in strange places, your brain is actually running simulations, practicing responses to novel situations, making you more adaptable and resilient. And here's something that might make you smile as you drift off tonight. Studies have shown that when you learn something new before bed, a language, a skill, a piece of music, your sleeping brain rehearses it hundreds of times throughout the night, strengthening those neural pathways far more effectively than any amount of conscious practice. In sleep, you become better at being you. What if I told you that you're not really adapted to modern life at all? That your body is still running on software that was perfected over millions of years, in environments nothing like the one you live in now? And that understanding this ancient programming is the key to the deepest, most restorative rest you've ever experienced. Let me take you back, way back. 200,000 years ago, when modern humans first emerged in Africa, we lived in small groups, moving with the seasons, sleeping under stars. Our ancestors didn't have alarm clocks or artificial lights or Netflix to binge at midnight. Instead, they lived in perfect synchronization with something called the circadian rhythm, a biological clock that's still ticking inside you right now. Dr. Jeffrey Hall, Michael Rosbash, and Michael Young won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2017 for discovering the molecular mechanisms that control this circadian rhythm. What they found was extraordinary. Inside nearly every cell in your body, there's a clock. Not a metaphorical clock, but an actual genetic feedback loop involving a protein called period that builds up during the day and breaks down at night, creating a 24-hour cycle that continues even in complete darkness, even without any external cues. Think of it like this. You know those singing fish toys that activate when someone walks by? Your cells are like that, except instead of sensing motion, they're sensing time itself, counting out the hours through molecular oscillations, preparing your body for what's coming next. When evening approaches, even if you're sitting in a windowless room, your cells know. They begin releasing melatonin, dropping your core body temperature, shifting your metabolism toward rest and repair. This is beautiful and relaxing because it means you don't have to force sleep to happen. Sleep is built into the very fabric of your biology. It's as natural and inevitable as the tide. Fighting it is like trying to stop the ocean from following the moon. But here's where it gets even more soothing. Your circadian rhythm isn't just inside you. It connects you to everything alive. Plants have it. Fungi have it. Even cyanobacteria, some of the oldest organisms on Earth, have circadian rhythms. In 1986, researchers discovered that these ancient microbes, which have existed for 3 billion years, were already keeping time, already synchronized with the rotation of the Earth, long before the first animals even evolved. What this means is profound. The rhythm of your sleep, the pattern of your days and nights, connects you directly to the very first living things on this planet. You're not separate from nature. You are nature, expressing the same ancient patterns that have sustained life since almost the beginning. And there's more to this cosmic connection. In 2013, a team of biologists discovered something called anticipatory behavior in organisms ranging from red mold to humans. Your body doesn't just react to sunrise and sunset. It anticipates them. Your cells begin preparing for dawn about an hour before the sun rises, adjusting your metabolism, warming your body slightly, preparing you to wake up naturally and gently. Our ancestors woke this way every morning for hundreds of thousands of years, not to a jarring alarm, but to the body's gentle preparation for a new day. This is still in you. Your body still wants to wake you up peacefully, if you let it. Now imagine this. You're lying in bed right now, or wherever you are, and the room is dark. The moment your eyes detect darkness, specialized cells in your retina cells that don't even contribute to vision, discovered by Dr. David Burson at Brown University in 2002, send signals to a part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This tiny cluster of neurons, no bigger than a grain of rice, is the master conductor of your body's orchestra. Within minutes of detecting darkness, your suprachiasmatic nucleus sends signals throughout your entire body. Your pineal gland begins releasing melatonin. Your blood pressure drops slightly. Your digestive system slows down because you don't need to digest food while sleeping. Your immune system kicks into higher gear because nighttime is when your body fights infections most effectively. Your growth hormone levels surge, helping to repair tissues and build muscle. All of this happens automatically, beautifully, perfectly synchronized. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try. You just have to allow it. Think of it like this. Falling asleep is like arriving home after a long journey. You don't have to force yourself to relax in your own home. The moment you walk through the door, your body remembers safety, remembers comfort, remembers that this is where you belong. Sleep is your body's home. It's been waiting for you all day. And here's something that might change how you think about nighttime entirely. Darkness isn't empty. Darkness isn't nothing. Darkness is when the universe reveals its true self. During the day, our sun's light is so bright that it drowns out everything else. But at night, when our little patch of Earth rotates away from the sun, we get to see the truth that we're floating in an ocean of stars, that our sun is just one of hundreds of billions, that we're part of something so vast and ancient that our daily worries become beautifully, peacefully insignificant. Astronomers have calculated that on a truly dark night, far from city lights, the human eye can see about 4,500 stars. But that's just the beginning. Every single one of those stars is a sun, and many of them have planets. And the light you're seeing from those stars left them years, decades, sometimes centuries ago. When you look at the night sky, you're literally looking backward in time. The Andromeda Galaxy, visible to the naked eye on a dark night, is 2.5 million light years away. The photons entering your eye left that galaxy 2.5 million years ago, when your ancestors were just beginning to walk upright on the African savanna. You're seeing ancient light, connecting across impossible distances to touch your retina right now. This is the universe tucking you in, reminding you that you're part of a story so much bigger than your individual concerns. A story that's been unfolding for 13.8 billion years and will continue long after you're gone. And somehow, that's not scary. It's deeply, profoundly peaceful. Now, what if I told you that Earth itself breathes? That the entire planet has a rhythm, a pulse that you're connected to right now, even if you've never thought about it? This isn't poetry. This is science. In the 1960s, a scientist named James Lovelock was working with NASA, trying to figure out how we might detect life on other planets. And in thinking about this question, he realized something extraordinary about our own planet. Earth doesn't just have life on it. Earth is alive. He called this the Gaia hypothesis. Now, before you think this is some mystical idea, let me explain the science. What Lovelock discovered working with microbiologist Lynn Margulis is that life on Earth doesn't just passively respond to environmental conditions. Life actively regulates those conditions, maintaining the planet in a state that's suitable for life to continue. Think of it like this. Your body maintains a temperature of about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, whether you're in a snowstorm or a desert. That's called homeostasis. Lovelock realized that Earth does the same thing, but on a planetary scale. For billions of years, even as the sun has gotten about 30% brighter, Earth's temperature has remained relatively stable, staying within the narrow range where liquid water can exist. How? Through the combined activity of all living things. Trees and ocean plants absorb carbon dioxide, regulating the greenhouse effect. Microscopic plankton produce clouds by releasing chemicals that help water vapor condense. Even the rocks weather differently, depending on how much carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere, creating a natural thermostat. You are part of this planetary respiratory system. When you breathe in, you take in oxygen produced by photosynthetic organisms, mainly ocean phytoplankton, which produce about 70% of Earth's oxygen. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide, which those same organisms need to survive. You're in constant conversation with the ocean, with forests, with the invisible world of microbes, all of you working together to keep Earth's atmosphere balanced. And here's where it gets beautiful. In 2019, researchers using satellite data discovered that Earth's landmasses actually expand and contract slightly with the seasons, rising and falling by a few millimeters as water freezes and melts, as plants grow and die, as billions of tons of organic matter shift around the globe. The planet literally breathes, expanding with the inhale of spring growth in the northern hemisphere, contracting with the exhale of winter dormancy. You're lying on a living planet. Right now, beneath you, the ground is alive with organisms. A single teaspoon of healthy soil contains more living organisms than there are people on Earth. Bacteria, fungi, nematodes, protozoa, all of them working in intricate networks, breaking down dead matter, recycling nutrients, creating the foundation for all terrestrial life. And these organisms are connected. In 1997, Dr. Suzanne Simard at the University of British Columbia discovered something that changed how we understand forests. Trees aren't individuals competing for resources. They're connected through underground fungal networks that she called the Wood Wide Web. Mother trees, the oldest and largest in the forest, use these networks to send nutrients to their offspring, to support sick or struggling neighbors, to communicate about pest attacks and drought conditions. Think of it like this. When you walk through a forest, you're not seeing hundreds of separate trees. You're seeing the visible parts of a single vast organism, all connected beneath the soil, all supporting each other, all sharing resources and information. The forest is one being, experiencing itself through countless individual perspectives. And you're part of this network too, in ways that might surprise you. The human gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, is connected to soil microbiomes through the food you eat. When you eat plants, you're ingesting their microbiomes, introducing new species into your gut, creating an exchange of genetic information between you and the earth. Some researchers now believe that many of our cravings, our moods, even our thoughts might be influenced by these gut bacteria, which produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. In a very real sense, your gut is a piece of the soil ecosystem, transplanted inside you, connecting your internal environment to the external world. This is why spending time in nature feels so restorative. You're not just looking at pretty scenery. You're reconnecting with a biological network that you're fundamentally a part of, a network that your body recognizes at a deep cellular level as home. Studies have shown that walking in a forest lowers cortisol levels, reduces blood pressure, and improves immune function. The Japanese have a word for this shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, but it's not just psychological. When you breathe forest air, you inhale phytoncides, antimicrobial compounds released by trees. These compounds actually boost your immune system, increasing your natural killer cells, which fight cancer and infections, for up to 30 days after a single forest walk. The trees are literally healing you, sharing their chemical defenses with you, because on some level, the forest's health and your health are connected. You're all part of the same living system. Here's what will blow your mind. The water in your body right now, the water that makes up about 60% of you, is older than the sun. That's not an exaggeration. That's not poetic license. That's chemistry. Dr. L. Ilsdor Cleaves, an astronomist at the University of Michigan, published research in 2014 that traced the origins of Earth's water. Using computer models of the early solar system, her team discovered that between 30 and 50% of Earth's water existed as ice in interstellar space before our sun even formed. This water formed in the molecular clouds between stars, in the cold darkness of space, 4.6 billion years ago or earlier. Think about that. The water molecules in your cells right now floated through the galaxy for who knows how long before they became part of Earth, before they fell as rain, before they flowed through rivers and oceans, before they entered your body. You are made of stardust and ancient cosmic ice. But water is even stranger and more wonderful than that. Water has memory, not in the mystical sense, but in a very real physical sense. In 2017, researchers at Stockholm University discovered that water molecules organize themselves into complex, ever-changing networks based on their environment, forming structures that persist for picoseconds, tiny fractions of a second, but still measurable. Every time water encounters a new substance, it rearranges itself, creating a unique pattern. The water in your body right now carries the structural echoes of everywhere it's been, everyone who's drunk it before, every ocean and cloud and river it's passed through. Think of it like this. Imagine water as a dance floor full of dancers, constantly changing partners, constantly forming new patterns. The music changes based on what's dissolved in the water, what temperature it is, what's happening around it. And for brief moments, those patterns hold, creating temporary order in the chaos before dissolving and reforming into something new. This is why water is so essential for life. It's not just a solvent. It's an information carrier, a medium through which molecules can find each other, recognize each other, interact in precisely coordinated ways. The chemical reactions in your cells happen in water, guided by water's structure, facilitated by water's unique properties. Water is the only common substance on Earth that exists naturally in all three states, solid, liquid, and gas, within the temperature range where life can exist. This isn't a coincidence. Life evolved in and around water, specifically because water is weird, because it expands when it freezes, which makes ice float, which keeps oceans from freezing solid, which allows life to persist through ice ages. Because water has an unusually high heat capacity, which stabilizes temperatures, preventing rapid fluctuations that would kill most organisms. Because water molecules are polar, with a slight positive charge on one end and a slight negative charge on the other, which allows them to dissolve more substances than any other liquid, creating the chemical soup in which life's reactions occur. Dr. Philip Ball, a science writer and former editor at Nature, wrote an entire book called H2O, a biography of water, in which he argues that we still don't fully understand water. Despite being the most studied substance on Earth, water continues to surprise scientists with unusual behaviors, particularly at the nanoscale, where quantum effects become important. And here's something that might change how you think about tears, about rain, about the glass of water beside your bed. Every water molecule on Earth has been cycled through the water cycle countless times. The water you drink today might have been part of a dinosaur, part of an ocean, part of a cloud over ancient Egypt, part of the blood of your ancestors. NASA scientists have calculated that Earth's water is continuously recycled through the hydrological cycle every 4,000 years or so, but individual molecules move much faster. A single water molecule might spend a week in a river, 10 days in the atmosphere as water vapor, thousands of years locked in a glacier, or just hours inside a living organism before being exhaled or excreted and continuing its journey. This means you're literally made of recycled water, water that's been everywhere, touched everything, been part of every living thing that's ever existed. You share your water with all of history. And at this very moment, as you're reading or listening to this, your body is performing about 300 billion chemical reactions every second, almost all of them taking place in or because of water. Your cells are tiny bags of specially organized water, separated from the external world by membranes that are themselves dependent on water's properties to function. Think about what this means for sleep. When you sleep, your body redistributes water. Lying down allows fluid that's pooled in your legs during the day to redistribute throughout your body. Your kidneys work less hard. Your cells can rehydrate more easily. Sleep itself is partly a water rebalancing process, your body taking advantage of horizontal rest to even out its fluid distribution, to flush toxins, to replenish tissues. This is why you might need to use the bathroom when you first wake up. Your kidneys have been processing all that redistributed fluid while you slept, filtering your blood about 40 times during the night, cleaning and purifying, preparing you for a new day. Now I'm going to tell you something that might make you rethink who you are. Ready? You're not mostly human. In fact, by cell count, you're only about 43% human. The rest of you is microbial bacteria, fungi, viruses that live on and inside you, outnumbering your human cells. Before you feel alarmed, here's what will blow your mind. These microbes aren't invaders. They're you. They're so integrated into your biology that you literally couldn't survive without them. Dr. Rob Knight, a microbiologist at UC San Diego, has spent his career studying the human microbiome, and his research has revealed something extraordinary. You're not an organism. You're an ecosystem. Think of it like this. Imagine a coral reef. The coral animal itself is just the architect, the framework. But the reef, the actual living, thriving ecosystem, includes thousands of species of fish, algae, invertebrates, all working together, all dependent on each other. You're like that. Your human cells provide the structure, but the ecosystem of microbes living in and on you performs crucial functions that your own cells can't do. The bacteria in your gut break down food that you couldn't otherwise digest, extracting nutrients from complex plant fibers, producing vitamins like B12 and K that you need but can't manufacture yourself. They train your immune system, teaching it to distinguish between dangerous pathogens and harmless visitors. They produce neurotransmitters that affect your mood and cognition. In fact, about 90% of the body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with happiness and well-being, is produced in your gut, not your brain. Your gut bacteria influence how much serotonin you produce. In a very real sense, your mood is partially determined by the microbes inside you. And here's something beautiful. Your microbiome changes every day based on what you eat, where you go, who you interact with. When you hug someone, you exchange microbiomes. When you pet a dog, microbes transfer between you. When you eat fermented foods or fresh vegetables, you introduce new species into your internal ecosystem. You're not a static, finished being. You're a dynamic, ever-changing community of life, constantly adapting, constantly evolving in response to your environment. Dr. Martin Blaser at Rutgers University has studied how modern antibiotics, while sometimes necessary, have changed human microbiomes in ways we're only beginning to understand. He's found that each generation over the past century has had slightly less microbial diversity than the previous generation. And this loss of diversity correlates with increases in allergies, autoimmune diseases, and metabolic disorders. But there's hope in this knowledge. Understanding that you're an ecosystem means understanding that you can tend that ecosystem, nurture it, help it thrive. Eating diverse plants introduces diverse microbes. Spending time outdoors exposes you to environmental microbes that your body recognizes and welcomes. Reducing unnecessary antibiotic use preserves your microbial allies. And here's the truly mind-bending part. Some researchers now believe that these microbes aren't just along for the ride. They might actually influence your behavior in ways that benefit them. The microbes that thrive on sugar might make you crave sweets. The ones that prefer fiber might make vegetables more appealing. Your cravings might not entirely be your own. They might be negotiations between you and your microbial partners. This isn't scary. It's actually profoundly relaxing when you think about it. You're not alone. You've never been alone. You're carrying trillions of tiny allies, evolved over millions of years to work with you, to help you survive, to keep you healthy. Your body is a democracy, not a dictatorship, and most of the voting citizens aren't human at all. And when you sleep, your microbiome doesn't rest. It's working, processing the food you ate during the day, synthesizing compounds you'll need tomorrow, maintaining the barriers that protect you from disease. Your gut bacteria have their own circadian rhythms, changing their activity levels and functions based on time of day, synchronized with your sleep-wake cycle. This means even in sleep, you're part of this vast, interconnected web of life, all of it working in harmony, all of it tending to your survival and well-being. What if I told you that silence is an illusion? That even in the quietest moment, you're surrounded by sound, most of it beyond your ability to hear, but all of it part of Earth's constant symphony? This is something that's both unsettling and deeply beautiful. The human ear can detect sounds between about 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. But the world produces sounds far below and far above this range, infrasound and ultrasound, that you can't consciously hear, but that your body nevertheless responds to. Dr. Kathy Heik, a researcher studying infrasound at the University of Arizona, has discovered that humans can detect sounds below the threshold of conscious hearing through mechanoreceptors in our skin and through bone conduction. We feel these sounds as much as hear them, as subtle vibrations, as barely perceptible tremors. The ocean produces infrasound through wave action. Weather systems created through wind and pressure changes. Animals like elephants and whales use it to communicate across vast distances. Even the aurora borealis, the northern lights, produces electromagnetic signals that can be converted to sound in the infrasonic range. Right now, as you sit or lie wherever you are, you're bathed in these silent sounds, these vibrations that your ancestors evolved to detect, to use as navigational cues, as warnings of approaching storms, as signs of distant earthquakes or landslides. Your nervous system is reading this information constantly, even if your conscious mind never notices. Think of it like this. Imagine you're a radio, able to tune into different frequencies. Your conscious hearing is like the FM band clear, but limited. But you have other receivers, other ways of detecting the world's signals. Your entire body is an antenna, picking up vibrations, electromagnetic fields, pressure changes, information that never reaches your awareness, but that nonetheless influences how you feel. This is why certain places feel peaceful, while others feel agitating, even when they look identical. Your body is reading signals your conscious mind can't detect: the hum of electrical wiring, the vibration of traffic, the electromagnetic fields of power lines, the subtle acoustic properties of the space. But here's the beautiful part. Natural environments produce what researchers call a biophony, the collective sound of living organisms in a given habitat. Dr. Bernie Krause, a soundscape ecologist, has spent decades recording natural habitats around the world. He's discovered that healthy ecosystems produce rich, complex soundscapes where different species occupy different acoustic niches, like instruments in an orchestra, each contributing to a harmonious whole. When you're in nature, even if you're not consciously aware of it, your auditory system is processing this biophony, recognizing at a deep level that you're in a healthy, life-supporting environment. This triggers relaxation responses, reduces stress hormones, and promotes healing. The sound of waves, of wind through trees, of rain falling, these aren't just pleasant background noise. They're evidence, processed by your subconscious, that water is available, that the ecosystem is functioning, that you're safe. And sleep itself has a soundtrack. In 2017, researchers at Northwestern University discovered that during deep sleep, brain waves synchronize in patterns that look remarkably like the wave patterns of the ocean. Your sleeping brain produces slow oscillations, about 1 cycle per second, that sweep across the cortex like waves crossing the sea. These slow waves are crucial for memory consolidation. As they travel, they coordinate the transfer of information from short-term to long-term storage, from the hippocampus to the cortex, literally rewiring your brain to incorporate the day's experiences into your permanent memory. Think about that. While you sleep, your brain generates its own internal ocean, waves of electrical activity washing back and forth, organizing thoughts, consolidating learning, preparing you for tomorrow. You don't need to do anything. The waves take care of it, just as they've done every night of your life. Now, before we go deeper, let me share something that might seem contradictory. Are you ready for this? The times when you're doing the least, when you're sleeping, daydreaming, or simply resting, are actually when your brain is working hardest at its most important tasks. This discovery shocked neuroscientists. For decades, researchers studied the brain by having people perform tasks while in brain scanners. But in 2001, Dr. Marcus Rachel at Washington University noticed something strange. When people weren't doing specific tasks, when they were just lying still with their minds wandering, a particular network of brain regions became highly active. He called this the default mode network. What scientists discovered is mind-blowing. This default mode network uses about 20% of your body's energy, despite representing only 2% of your body weight. When you're doing nothing, your brain is actually constructing your sense of self, integrating your past experiences, imagining future possibilities, and making sense of social relationships. Think of it like this. Imagine your brain as a news organization. During the day, when you're actively engaged with the world, your brain is like reporters out in the field, gathering information, responding to immediate events. But at night, or during rest, your brain becomes the editorial board, deciding what stories are important, how they fit together, what narrative they create about who you are, and what your life means. This is why insights often come during walks, showers, or right before sleep. Your conscious task-focused mind steps aside, and your default mode network starts making unexpected connections, seeing patterns you couldn't see when you were trying too hard. And here's what makes this truly beautiful. You can trust this process. You don't need to force creativity or problem solving. In fact, forcing it often makes it worse. The more you relax, the more you let your mind wander, the more space you create for your default mode network to do its job. So as you continue listening, or as you drift toward sleep, know that you're not wasting time. You're not being unproductive. You're allowing your brain to do what it evolved to do: make meaning, create connections, and prepare you for whatever comes next. The most productive thing you can do right now is absolutely nothing. Before we continue deeper into this journey, I want to ask you something. If you're finding peace in these facts, if your breathing has slowed even slightly, if you're feeling that pleasant heaviness that precedes sleep, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because we're only halfway through, and the most profound revelations are still ahead. What if I told you that nature follows mathematical patterns so precise, so beautiful, that they border on the mystical, and that your body, your heartbeat, even your breathing, participates in these same patterns? This is called the Fibonacci sequence, and it appears everywhere in nature. The sequence goes like this: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on, with each number being the sum of the two preceding numbers. But the magic isn't in the numbers themselves. It's in the ratio between consecutive numbers, which approaches approximately 1.618, a number known as the golden ratio, or phi. Dr. Simon Plouffe, a mathematician who has studied numerical patterns in nature, has documented phi appearing in spiral galaxies, in the arrangement of leaves on a stem, in the proportions of the human body, in the spirals of seashells, in the branching of trees, in the arrangement of flower petals. It's as if the entire universe is following the same mathematical blueprint. But here's where it gets truly beautiful for our purposes. In 2010, researchers studying heart rate variability discovered that the healthiest hearts don't beat with mechanical regularity. Instead, they show subtle variations that follow patterns related to the golden ratio. A perfectly regular heartbeat is actually a sign of stress or illness. A healthy, relaxed heart dances slightly around its average rate, with variations that, when analyzed, show fractal patterns and golden ratio relationships. Think of it like this: your heart isn't a metronome, ticking away with rigid precision. It's more like a jazz musician, improvising around a theme, responding to subtle cues from your nervous system, your breathing, your thoughts, creating variations that are mathematically related to the patterns found throughout nature. When you're relaxed, when you're breathing slowly and deeply, your heart rate variability increases, and these golden ratio patterns become more pronounced. You're literally bringing your body into mathematical harmony with the rest of the universe. And breathing has its own mathematics. The optimal breathing rate, for most people the rate that maximizes heart rate variability, reduces stress, and promotes relaxation, is about 5 to 6 breaths per minute. That's a 10 to 12 second breathing cycle. Interestingly, this is very close to the breathing rate that naturally emerges when people meditate, pray, or chant in various spiritual traditions around the world. Dr. Luciano Bernardi, a researcher at the University of Pavia in Italy, discovered in 2001 that reciting the rosary in Latin or chanting yoga mantras naturally produces this optimal breathing rate. Different cultures, different religions, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, somehow independently discovered the same mathematical rhythm for inducing calm and peace. This isn't magic, it's biology. When you breathe slowly, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system that counteracts stress responses. Slow breathing increases the time your heart spends in its filling phase, improving circulation. It allows more complete oxygen exchange in your lungs. It signals to your brain that you're safe. And the beauty is that you can use this anytime. Right now, as you're reading or listening, you can slow your breathing. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 2, breathe out for 6 counts. Don't force it. Just gently guide your breath into a slower rhythm, and watch how your body responds, how your shoulders drop, how tension you didn't even know you were carrying begins to release. This is mathematical peace. This is your body remembering its natural rhythms, coming back into harmony with patterns that have existed since life began. Here's something you've probably never thought about. Right now, you're being pulled toward the center of the earth with a force of approximately 98 newtons per kilogram of your body mass. Gravity is holding you constantly, reliably, never wavering, never failing. This might seem mundane, but think about what it means. Gravity is a hug from the planet. It's Earth's way of saying, I've got you. And unlike every other force in your life, gravity never stops, never takes a break, never asks for anything in return. It's utterly dependable. Dr. Andrew Newberg, A neuroscientist who studies the effects of gravity on brain function has found that our brains are so adapted to gravity that removing it causes significant cognitive changes. Astronauts in orbit report altered perception, changed emotions, and profound shifts in consciousness, partly because their brains are trying to make sense of a world without down. But for us here on Earth, gravity provides constant, comforting feedback. Every time you lie down, gravity spreads your body against the surface beneath you, distributing your weight evenly, allowing your muscles to fully relax. You don't have to hold yourself together. Gravity does it for you. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to relax while floating in space. Nothing beneath you, nothing holding you. It would be nearly impossible to fully let go, because letting go would mean drifting. But here on Earth, you can surrender completely. You can release every muscle, knowing that gravity will keep you where you are, safe and supported. This is why weighted blankets help so many people sleep better. They amplify gravity's gentle pressure, creating what researchers call deep touch pressure stimulation. This pressure activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reduces cortisol, increases serotonin and melatonin, and creates a sensation of being held, safe, and grounded. And gravity does something else beautiful. It creates a pressure gradient in your body that helps move fluids. Your lymphatic system, which clears cellular waste and supports your immune system, doesn't have a pump like your cardiovascular system does. It relies partly on gravity, partly on muscle movement, and partly on breathing to move lymph fluid through your body. When you lie down to sleep, changing your orientation relative to gravity allows lymph to drain from places it might have pooled during the day, particularly from your brain, through that lymphatic system we discussed earlier. Gravity, in a sense, helps wash your brain clean each night. And here's something that might make you appreciate the ground beneath you in a new way. The earth beneath you is solid only in a relative sense. Deep underground, the mantle, the layer between the crust and the core, behaves like a very slow fluid, flowing in convection currents over millions of years. The continental plates you're sitting on are floating on this semi-liquid mantle, drifting at about the speed your fingernails grow. Right now, you're on a raft of rock, floating on a sea of molten stone, spinning at about 1,000 miles per hour at the equator as Earth rotates, orbiting the Sun at about 67,000 miles per hour, while the entire solar system orbits the galactic center at about 500,000 miles per hour. And yet, because of gravity, you feel perfectly still. You feel safe and supported. Gravity smooths out all that cosmic motion into peaceful stability, into the gentle pressure of the ground against your body, into the comfortable weight of your arms and legs, into the soft pull that guides you toward sleep. What if I told you that time, this thing we're all so worried about running out of, doesn't actually exist the way you think it does? This isn't mysticism. This is physics. Dr. Carlo Rovelli, a theoretical physicist, has written extensively about how time is not fundamental to the universe, but rather emerges from our perspective, from the way our consciousness processes change. At the quantum level, there is no clear arrow of time. Elementary particles don't experience past and future the way we do. The equations that govern quantum mechanics work just as well running forward or backward. Time, as we experience it, is a feature of entropy, the tendency of complex systems to move from ordered to disordered states. But here's the beautiful, peaceful implication. The present moment, this exact instant you're experiencing right now, is all that truly exists. The past is memory. The future is imagination. But this moment, this breath, this heartbeat is real. Think of it like this. Imagine time as a river. From the shore, watching the river flow, you see past and future, upstream and downstream. But if you're in the river, if you're the water itself, there is no past or future. There's only the eternal present, the constant now, flowing and changing, but always existing in this moment. And your brain constructs your experience of time based on how much new information it's processing. This is why time seems to slow down during novel experiences or emergencies. Your brain is recording more detail, creating more memories, making the experience feel longer in retrospect. It's also why time seems to speed up as you age. When you're young, almost everything is new, so your brain records dense memories. A summer vacation as a child feels like it lasted forever because every day was filled with novel experiences. But as an adult, when days become routine, your brain records less detail. Weeks and months blur together, and time seems to accelerate. But you can reclaim time, in a sense, by staying present, by noticing details, by treating familiar things with fresh attention. When you're fully present, time expands. A simple meal, truly savored, can feel more substantial than a week of distracted routine. And sleep is perhaps the ultimate return to timelessness. In deep sleep, you lose your narrative sense of self, your tracking of time, your construction of past and future. You exist in pure present, in pure being, without the burden of chronology. This is part of why sleep is so restorative. You're taking a vacation from time itself, from the constant mental accounting of what was and what will be, resting in the eternal now. Dr. Matthew Walker's research has shown that during REM sleep, when you dream, your brain actually suppresses your sense of time. Dreams can feel like they last for hours, when in reality, they might span only minutes. You're experiencing a kind of time dilation, where your consciousness expands beyond the normal flow of seconds and minutes. And here's something profound. Every morning when you wake up, you're essentially being reborn. You've spent hours in a state of reduced consciousness, disconnected from time, from identity, from your ongoing narrative. And then you return, you reconstruct yourself. You remember who you are and resume your story. But you're not exactly the same person who went to sleep. Your memories have been reorganized. Your neural pathways have been strengthened or pruned. Your body has repaired and renewed itself. You are, quite literally, slightly different from who you were yesterday. This means you're not locked into being whoever you think you are. Every sleep is an opportunity for change, for growth, for becoming. The person you'll be tomorrow doesn't exist yet. You're creating them right now, with every choice, every thought, every moment of rest. Now, what if I told you that you're connected to every other living thing on this planet, not just metaphorically, but through actual, measurable physical bonds? This is the reality of Earth's biosphere. The atmosphere you're breathing, the water you're made of, the carbon in your cells, all of it is shared. All of it cycles through every organism, connecting you to everything else in an intricate web that's been weaving itself for billions of years. Dr. Lynn Margulis, the biologist who co-developed the Gaia hypothesis with James Lovelock, spent her career studying something called symbiosis, the way organisms of different species live together in mutually beneficial relationships. What she discovered revolutionized biology. The cells that make up your body, eukaryotic cells with nuclei, and organelles are themselves the product of ancient symbiosis. About 2 billion years ago, a larger cell engulfed a smaller bacterium, but didn't digest it. Instead, the bacterium survived inside, eventually becoming the mitochondria that power your cells today. Think of it like this. The energy factories in every cell of your body were once independent organisms. Your mitochondria still have their own DNA, separate from your nuclear DNA, passed down through your mother's lineage in an unbroken chain going back 2 billion years. You're not one organism. You're a community, a merger, a living collaboration between different forms of life. And this pattern of cooperation repeats at every scale. The forest networks we discussed earlier, your microbiome, the relationships between pollinators and flowers, between fungi and plant roots, between nitrogen-fixing bacteria and legumes. Life doesn't primarily compete. It cooperates. It collaborates. It creates partnerships. This is fundamentally different from the survival of the fittest narrative we often hear. Yes, Competition exists. But cooperation is more fundamental, more successful, more prevalent in nature than competition. The organisms that thrive are those that form beneficial relationships with others. And you're part of this cooperative network. Every plant you've ever eaten was nourished by fungi that shared nutrients in exchange for sugars. Every breath you take is possible because of photosynthetic organisms that produce oxygen. Every piece of clothing you wear, every wooden object you use, every bit of food you consume represents countless cooperative relationships between different species, all working together to create the conditions for life to continue. Dr. Merlin Sheldrake, a biologist studying fungal networks, has documented how a single fungal organism can extend for miles underground, connecting thousands of plants, transferring nutrients between them, even communicating chemical signals that warn of pest attacks or drought stress. These fungal networks are older than any individual plant, persisting for centuries, creating stability in the ecosystem. You live in this web, supported by it, part of it, connected to it through every meal, every breath, every moment. You're not separate from nature, struggling to survive in a hostile world. You're nature, expressing itself in human form, supported by billions of years of evolutionary cooperation and mutual aid. And at night, when you sleep, this web continues its work. The trees outside your window are pulling carbon from the air, releasing oxygen. Soil microbes are breaking down organic matter, cycling nutrients. Fungi are extending their networks, connecting plant to plant. Even in darkness, even in stillness, the web of life is active, working, maintaining the conditions that allow you to exist. You can rest, you can let go. The web holds you. We've been taught to fear darkness, to see it as absence, as emptiness, as danger. But what if I told you that darkness is not empty? That darkness is full, fertile, necessary, that it's where life begins? Think about this. Every one of us begins in darkness, in the womb, floating in warm darkness for 9 months before entering the light. Seeds germinate in the darkness of soil. Eggs incubate in darkness. Deep ocean vents, in complete darkness, host some of the most vibrant ecosystems on Earth. Darkness isn't death. Darkness is the womb of becoming. Dr. George Wald won the Nobel Prize in 1967 for his work on the biochemistry of vision, specifically how our eyes detect light. But what fascinated him equally was darkness, how the absence of light allows our rod cells to regenerate rhodopsin, the light-sensitive protein that makes vision possible. We need darkness to be able to see. Think of it like this. If you lived in constant light, your eyes would eventually burn out, depleted of the chemicals needed for vision. Darkness isn't the opposite of sight. Darkness is what makes sight sustainable. It's the night shift during which your visual system repairs and replenishes itself. And your brain needs darkness too. In 2007, researchers at MIT discovered that exposure to light at night suppresses melatonin production far more than previously thought, even relatively dim light from screens or streetlights. This melatonin suppression doesn't just affect sleep. It influences immune function, cancer risk, metabolic health, and mood regulation. Darkness isn't just the absence of light. It's a biological signal that triggers cascades of beneficial processes throughout your body. It's information that tells every cell what time it is, what mode to operate in, what repairs to prioritize. And there's something profound about voluntary darkness, about closing your eyes, about choosing to turn away from the visual world and turn inward. When you close your eyes, you're not losing anything. You're gaining access to inner experiences, memories, imagination, emotion that are often drowned out by visual stimuli. Studies of meditation have shown that closing the eyes shifts brain activity from external focused attention to internal focused awareness. The parts of your brain that process visual information quiet down, while the parts associated with introspection, emotion regulation, and self-awareness become more active. In darkness, you meet yourself. Not the self you present to the world, but the deeper self, the consciousness beneath the roles and masks and daily performances. This can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's also profoundly healing. Dr. Ruben Nyman, a sleep and dream specialist, has written about what he calls dark deprivation, a modern condition of living in perpetual light, never experiencing true darkness. He argues that this deprivation contributes to sleep disorders, mood problems, and a sense of disconnection from our deeper nature. Traditional societies understood this. They honored darkness, told stories in darkness, used darkness for ritual and contemplation. They understood that darkness is not emptiness, but fullness, not danger but mystery, not ending but beginning. And when you embrace darkness, when you lie down in the dark and allow it to envelop you, something magical happens. Your other senses become more acute. You become more aware of your body, of sounds, of the feeling of breath moving in and out. You become more present, more grounded, more aware of being alive. Darkness invites surrender. You can't control what you can't see. You can't fix, adjust, or manage the invisible. You can only trust, relax, and allow. This is why darkness is so conducive to sleep. It removes the temptation to remain vigilant, to keep managing, to stay in control. In darkness, you return to the state you began in, floating, supported, safe, growing quietly in the nurturing void before birth. Darkness is home. What if I told you that the most miraculous thing about the universe isn't distant galaxies or quantum particles, but the simple fact that you exist right now, conscious and alive? Think about the probabilities. For you to exist, every single one of your ancestors, going back billions of years to the first self-replicating molecule, had to survive long enough to reproduce. One broken chain anywhere, one ancestor dying before having children, and you wouldn't be here. But it goes deeper than that. For Earth to support life, dozens of physical constants had to fall within incredibly narrow ranges. If the strong nuclear force were slightly different, atoms couldn't form. If gravity were slightly stronger, stars would burn out too quickly for life to evolve. If the electromagnetic force were different, water molecules couldn't exist. Physicists call this the fine-tuning problem, and they've calculated that the odds of a universe capable of supporting life are so small as to be almost incomprehensible. And yet, here we are. Against all odds, in defiance of probability, you exist. Dr. Alan Lightman, an astrophysicist at MIT, has written beautifully about what he calls the accidental universe, the idea that we might live in one universe among infinite universes, and we happen to be in one of the rare ones where the constants allow for complexity, for chemistry, for life, for consciousness. But whether that's true or not, the fact remains you won the cosmic lottery. You are one of the universe's rare experiments in self-awareness, one of the few arrangements of matter that can contemplate its own existence. Think of it like this. Most of the universe is empty space. Most matter is locked in stars or black holes or diffuse gas clouds, unable to form complex structures. But here, on this small planet, matter has organized itself into ecosystems, organisms, neurons, thoughts. The universe has become conscious of itself through you. Carl Sagan famously said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's literally true. You are made of star-stuffed carbon forged in the cores of ancient stars, iron from supernova explosions, hydrogen from the Big Bang itself organized in such a way that it can think, feel, wonder, and experience beauty. Every atom in your body has a history billions of years long. The oxygen you're breathing was created by massive stars that exploded before our sun even formed. The calcium in your bones was forged in stellar furnaces. The iron in your blood was scattered across space in catastrophic supernovas. You are ancient and new simultaneously. Your atoms are as old as the universe, but their current arrangement, you has never existed before and will never exist again exactly this way. And what are the odds that you'd exist in this particular moment in history? If you'd been born even 100 years earlier, you wouldn't have antibiotics, wouldn't have vaccines, would probably not have lived to your current age. If you'd been born 1,000 years earlier, your life would be unimaginably different, shorter, harder, more constrained. But you're here now, with access to the accumulated knowledge of all human history, able to learn about quantum physics and brain chemistry and the history of the universe, able to communicate instantly with people around the world, able to see images from other planets, able to understand your place in the cosmos in ways no previous generation could. You live in a miraculous time, and you are a miracle yourself. Not in a supernatural sense, but in the simple, profound sense that your existence is improbable, precious, and temporary. This doesn't have to be frightening. In fact, it can be deeply comforting. You don't have to earn your right to exist. You don't have to justify your presence here. The mere fact that you exist, against all odds, is enough. You are the universe's gift to itself, a brief flowering of consciousness in an ocean of unconscious matter. And when you sleep tonight, you're not wasting this precious existence. You're honoring it, caring for it, maintaining the extraordinary biological machine that allows you to experience wonder and joy and connection. Sleep is not a break from living. It's an essential part of living fully. Now, as we approach the end of this journey together, I want to share something that might change how you think about endings and beginnings, about death and life, about fear and peace. Everything in nature moves in cycles. Day becomes night, becomes day. Seasons turn in endless rotation. Your breath flows in and out. Your heart beats in rhythm. Water evaporates and rains down and evaporates again. Carbon cycles through air and plants and animals and soil and back to air. There are no true endings in nature, only transformations. Nothing is ever lost, only changed. The atoms that compose you will continue existing long after you're gone, becoming part of other organisms, other systems, other expressions of the universe's creativity. This is what physicists mean when they say energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Every bit of matter and energy in our body has existed since the Big Bang and will continue existing until the heat death of the universe, if such a thing occurs. You are a temporary pattern formed by eternal substance. Dr. David Eagleman, a neuroscientist who has written extensively about death and consciousness, proposes an idea he calls sum. He suggests that we might experience death as a kind of sum of all our moments, all existing simultaneously, outside of time. Every moment you've ever lived, every experience you've had, continues existing in the structure of space-time, permanent and unchanging from a four-dimensional perspective. But even without such speculations, there's comfort in understanding cycles. The anxiety many of us feel about sleep, the fear of losing consciousness, of losing control, is related to our fear of death, of the ultimate loss of consciousness and control. But sleep proves to us every night that losing consciousness isn't annihilation. You've fallen asleep thousands of times, and thousands of times you've returned, refreshed, and renewed. Sleep is a practice for letting go, for trusting that the current of life will carry you through darkness back to light. Think of it like this. When you were a child, you probably resisted bedtime, afraid of missing out, afraid of the dark, not understanding that sleep was a gift, not a punishment. As adults, many of us carry that same resistance, that same fear, even though we know better. But when you truly understand the cycles, when you see how death and rebirth happen at every scale, cells dying and being replaced, seasons cycling, the universe itself possibly dying and being reborn in endless iterations, the fear transforms into something else. Not acceptance of death, exactly, but appreciation for life's temporary nature, recognition that impermanence makes each moment precious. The Japanese have a concept called mano no aware, a sensitivity to the transience of things, a gentle sadness mixed with appreciation for the beauty of impermanent phenomena. Cherry blossoms are beautiful, partly because they fall so quickly. Life is precious partly because it doesn't last forever. And in sleep, you practice this letting go every night. You practice releasing your grip on consciousness, on control, on the need to manage and direct every moment. You practice trusting the cycle, trusting that night will become morning, that rest will restore you, that the temporary death of sleep will give way to the rebirth of waking. Dr. Stephen Laberg, a psychophysiologist who has studied lucid dreaming for decades, has found that people who learn to become conscious within their dreams often report reduced fear of death. Having experienced consciousness continuing through the strange transformations of dream states, they become less attached to waking consciousness as the only form of awareness. But you don't need lucid dreams to benefit from this wisdom. Simply allowing yourself to sleep peacefully, without resistance, is a powerful practice in trust, in surrender, in accepting the natural rhythms that have sustained life for billions of years. And here's the beautiful truth that we've been circling throughout this entire journey. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to control everything. You don't have to earn peace or deserve rest. You are already part of the perfect, self-sustaining, infinitely creative web of existence. You always have been. You always will be, in one form or another. The universe brought you into being, sustains you every moment, and will transform you when the time comes. But right now, in this moment, you're here. You're alive. You're conscious. You're experiencing the miracle of existence from the inside. And the kindest thing you can do for yourself, the most natural thing, is to rest. To allow your body to do what it knows how to do. To trust the ancient rhythms. To let go into sleep, knowing that you're supported by gravity, by Earth, by billions of years of evolution, by the same forces that keep stars burning and seasons turning and life persisting against all odds. So where does this leave us after 3 hours of exploring the peaceful mysteries of life on Earth? If you're still awake, still listening, I hope you're feeling a sense of wonder mixed with deep calm. I hope you understand now that you're not separate from nature, not an observer looking at Earth from outside, but an integral part of this living planet, connected to everything through breath and water and atoms and time. I hope you've felt the relief of understanding that your body knows what it's doing, that sleep isn't something you have to achieve or earn, but something that will happen naturally when you stop resisting it. I hope you've glimpsed the profound truth that you are both insignificant and precious, a brief arrangement of ancient atoms, but an arrangement that can appreciate beauty, feel love, and marvel at existence. And I hope you've come to see darkness, silence, and rest not as absences or failures, but as necessary complements to light and sound and activity, as spaces where growth and healing happen, as the fertile void from which new possibilities emerge. You are right now lying or sitting somewhere on a planet that's spinning through space at incomprehensible speeds, held to its surface by invisible gravitational force, breathing air that's been recycled through billions of organisms, made of water older than the sun, running on cellular machinery perfected over billions of years. You are a temporary miracle, a brief flowering of consciousness in an unconscious universe, a way for the cosmos to know itself, to experience wonder, to create meaning in a vast and ancient reality. And all you have to do, all that's asked of you right now, is to rest, to allow your eyes to close, to feel the weight of your body supported by the ground beneath you, to hear the rhythm of your breath, slower now than when we started, deeper, more peaceful, to notice how your shoulders have dropped, how your jaw has unclenched, how that tight spot in your chest has softened just a bit. The world will continue turning while you sleep. The trees will keep producing oxygen. The fungi will keep connecting plant to plant. Your heart will keep beating. Your cells will keep doing their quantum jazz. The earth will keep breathing. The stars will keep burning. The universe will keep expanding into infinite space. And you can let go. You can trust. You can surrender to sleep, knowing that you're held by gravity, supported by evolution, maintained by your body's trillion-fold symphony of life, connected to everything that has ever lived. You are home. You have always been home. Earth is your home, and sleep is your body's way of returning to that home each night, of reconnecting with the deep rhythms, of remembering that you belong here, that you're part of something vast and beautiful and good. So breathe. Feel your breath flowing in and out like waves on a shore. Notice how each exhale is a letting go, a release, a small surrender that prepares you for the larger surrender of sleep. You are safe. You are supported. You are exactly where you need to be. And if you're still listening to my voice, still following these words, that's okay too. There's no pressure, no deadline, no requirement to sleep on command. Just the gentle invitation to rest whenever you're ready, however you're ready. Because here's the final secret, the last peaceful truth I'll share with you tonight. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to accomplish, no one else you need to become. Right here, right now, breathing in and breathing out, you are complete. You are enough. You are home. So close your eyes, if you haven't already. Feel the darkness behind your eyelids, not as emptiness, but as fullness, as possibility, as the nurturing void from which all things emerge, and to which all things return. Listen to the silence between my words, growing longer now, more spacious, giving you room to drift, to float, to let go. And know that wherever you are, whatever time it is, whatever country you're listening from, you're part of this moment we've shared, this exploration of the peaceful truths that connect us all. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for your curiosity, your openness, your willingness to wonder. Now rest, sleep well, dream beautiful dreams. And when you wake, whenever that is, you'll be renewed, refreshed, slightly different from who you were before, ready to experience another day of this miraculous, temporary, precious existence. Good night. Sweet dreams. And welcome home to the peace that was always there, waiting for you to remember it, to claim it, to rest in it. You are loved by the universe. You are held by Earth. You are home.